Hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel Learn with @aviboy 2006. Okay, hello everyone. Today's actually session is like a little bit kind of informative session. I'm not having any a demo kind of thing because I'm not expert on a security side. But yes, what are the security things for prevention? We can do it by using the help of the AWS. That we will learn it, and what AWS provide as security prevention measure or any action item AWS provided generally. That we will see, like what are tools are listed are there, what is the use of the particular tools are there generally. Okay, so let's start first with the like why the security is more important. Okay, so I think everyone know about, like, even if you have on premises your normal machine, laptop, anything, security is always on a top priority one. Okay, and that is why the people are more concerned when they move of their infrastructure from the on-premises to the cloud, because cloud was not that much of level matured when the cloud was coming in the picture when moving to the on-premise to cloud side. Okay, but AWS has the things like they have adapted the things, the way the demands comes and the way the particular things or was case study was coming out through it, and they slowly keep adding the multiple tools around it to make more error prone and make more security titans, right? And they came across the multiple products on that. Okay, so that is why still the people have a skeptical mind while they choosing from the cloud environment, because you can see India also, there are not all the banks are the moving to the AWS or maybe any other cloud service provider, because they always think about the security is a concern one, because very few bank or financial institute are running on the cloud side, like, and in new age new web bank, neo banking or maybe fintech are already on cloud, but still the traditional banking are normal on premises infrastructure only. Okay, but now slowly people like the institute are the moving also, because by seeing the multiple approaches on that part. Okay, that is, the security is always an ongoing development process. It cannot say whatever the security tools or whatever security tasks which we have is 100% perfect. Okay, because hackers or maybe all the security brokers are that fit it all for that time only. Anything is come up, they broke it out generally. So it keeps changing it and evolving around whenever something is happening it or something based on the analysis or threat detections, whatever they do it based on. And as the technology changes, like, we have to keep analysis on threat side risk against the particular technology, and that is why like I said, it is a continuous development process on it. Okay, and of course the AWS is the very forefront of this development, because in the cloud they're always in a top also, but still they are in a list of the services provided for security also. There are vast options are there. You will get to know by seeing the next slide what are the next tools are available on that. So there are few category where the AWS has categorized their security related or the identity management related and the detection management part in a multiple category. So there are five categories. Like, one is the data protection, where they give a tools to protect your data. So when I say protect your data, means like wherever you store your data, right? Maybe you can take the EBS volume, S3 bucket, your ECS cluster, Lambda services, or other like secret managers also. Everywhere you whatever the service you are going to use AWS, they have the enable data protection value. Okay, so that is what a data protection they service provider. We get to know what are the tools are available on that part. Second is the identity and access management. I think our on one of the second session of AWS, I think you guys have already learned about that identity access and management. What IAM is also provided generally. It gives you a security, it gives secret key, client security can access key to access your AWS resources, and it can tightens your rules also. Okay, who can access which services, who can have a read access, write access, which service can connect to the other service by using this IAM policy. Okay. Third one is the network and application protections. Okay, because even if you have a cloud, right, we always use the VPC network or maybe the internal network provider, whereas internet gateway or the public NAT gateway, all this the component is used there. So that network protocol also we need to be protect that part, and along with the network we have to protect the application threats also. Okay, so that also has their tools availabilities to secure the particular application. Third one is the threat detection and continuous monitoring. Yes, of course, because by providing the only a solution, it not always be a the options. Okay, we have to keep continuing the monitoring and detection part, because that will be a study material for the upcoming threat. As you said, right, it's a continued development process. Why? Because people are always going to the new innovation, new way of the breaking the system, and that is why we have to continuously following and monitoring the system and keep the particular security guard, right? That is why our building also has a security guard always be available, because he need to monitor that 24 hours. That if no one is there, then of course it will be security breach part. And fifth one is the compliance and data privacy. So when I say I talk about the compliance and data privacy, right? Even if you do all the security part, right? So whatever the audit you do, whatever report you generate, right? It has to be stored somewhere. We need to be have a compliance process also, because that is why our bank entity is not going towards the cloud yet, because not all cloud provider is not a compliance process. So as per the regulatory body, okay. So that also another part also. So we can have a privacy part also where data cannot be broken also, and it will be compliance one. And whenever we require that, that compliance report or audit report can be get easily, where we can share the report with our stakeholder to review that part. Okay, what you're doing it, what the access resources are using, how we are storing the data, how we are communicating to one service to another ways, like all the compliance part. So these are the high level categories. Now we'll go the one by one category and see what are the tools are available there. So first is the identity and access management. As the name suggests, identity and access management, like it provide you identity security and the access management part. Okay, the first one is the IAM tool. Many of you already aware about the IAM tool, which has the roles, which has the user privacy policy maker and the user groups also. Okay, which can be this by using this you can control your AWS console, AWS access resources also on part. And even if you have a cross AWS account or multi AWS account, there also you can manage your services and resources. Okay, the second one is the AWS single sign-on. Okay, I think SSO everyone is know about it. This is a very common word used. Like so, nothing like a new word for the SSO. But yes, AWS also provide SSO where we can integrate any other SSO provider like Auth01, Okta, or other also, right? Which can integrate there, and we can provide one single login for all AWS account. Because sometimes what happen, organization have multiple accounts also. Like, are we having a different AWS account? No, we have a one account, but we have account that is divided into multiple different the organizations wise. So we have different account. But if you see, to access those account, right, we have only single SSL login, which is the Okta one. And through the account, we can log into China. So no need to maintain the multiple logins availability. And this is a way you can control your user also at a one place. That is why it is come under the access management. Third one, the Amazon Cognito. Amazon Cognito is nothing but like a simple and secured user sign up process and sign in process, which has access control. I think if you remember Facebook, Google, Twitter, or LinkedIn, they have the option of the using a login with Facebook, login with LinkedIn, login with Twitter, like that, right? Similar, Amazon also has the option called login with Amazon. Okay, so whatever the Amazon login you have, like maybe Amazon.com site, Amazon.in site, whichever site, based on that login also you can use it. So they will give a widget to us which can integrated that widget in our code, where we can add okay, login with Amazon as the option. So where they don't need to sign up by differently, they can just through that one they can log into it. That is about the Amazon Cognito one. Fourth one is the Amazon AWS Directory Services. So AWS Directory Services is like a fully managed hierarchical data storage in the AWS. Okay, why generally it is required? because when we are managing some on-premises resources also, like our majorly generally used for the IT services, they can manage their resources through the AWS directory service also. So they will have their login services, which we can allow in using the directory services, and we can easily access that part. Next one is the AWS Resource Access Manager. The name says AWS Resource Access Manager, right? Where we can share our resources across the multiple AWS account. Okay, it is simple, secure service to share the resources. So sharing resources, like you can share your license manager, you can share your certificate manager. If you have a EBS volumes also, you can share it across the one. So what is the benefit of using this one? Because if you share the resources across the account, right, you will have a single place to manage it. Okay, so no need to be give up kind of attention to each and every account of what are the resources are available, what is the security measure how to do it. All this can be at the one place also, and of course the cost effective also, because you are creating a resource at one place and you're sharing across the other account. Just to be note that I'm mentioning here across the account, not only across the region, it's across the accounts also. Next one is the AWS organization. It is centrally managed and govern your environment as you scale your AWS workflow. And yes, EV also use the AWS organization. Through that only, we have created a different organization and manage their own different. And it can be customized also. It like based on the particular, if sub organization has a different rules, a different set of particular infrastructure to set up, that can be also manage through that. But centrally also it offers option to have a manage and put some rules which can be developed then. I'll move to the next slide. Next is the detections. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, so prevention is the one part, but sorry, solution or prevention is the one part. Of course, the detection also one of the major part of the any security threats, right? So AWS provides various options for detection part. The first one is the AWS Security Hub, which actually automated AWS security checks and centralized security alert. So how it exactly works? So AWS Security Hub is actually the cloud security posture management service. Okay, posture is like a post-mortem management system generally. It has performed the security best practices check, aggregated alerts, and enable the automated remediation. So when I say practices, best practices, right, there are the security standards or the practices followed by the protocols or maybe the ISO, right? Based on that, you can implement a particular best practices in that part. And then you can aggregate the alerts. So whenever there is a detection, you can always be create an alert using the CloudWatch alarm, using the SNS one, and that can be come to the human intervention on that part. And it's of course enable the remediation. So it gives you some options of the remediation, like how do we recover that particular security threat or other thing. So Security Hub actually the combination work with the Amazon Guard Duty, Amazon Inspector, Amazon Config, and Amazon CloudTrail. So when I say Security Hub is a combination of Guard Duty, Inspector, Config, and CloudTrail. It's not only single, it has a combination of these services. It detects the deviation from security best practices with a single click, and it accelerates the mean time to resolutions also. When you say resolution, right, so based on the best practices, there is a probable solution also available. And that can be possibly the remedies for the particular threat detection. Second one is a guard duty. I think this my name is very easy to guard duty, right? It actually follows exactly the security guard duty only. It protects your AWS account with the intelligent threat detections. Okay, because this comes under detections, is only to the detection part, is top particular thing to be not to do. Okay, and if anything is found, it alerted generally. Okay, so it's continuously monitor your AWS account and instances, container workload, okay, user, storage potential threat. And of course, if there is exposed to a threat, right, it quickly detects and using your machine learning algorithm. So it has the option to have some learning algorithm based on the behavior pattern, and it quickly detect that particular part. Okay, and of course, some mitigate the threats early by initiating the automated responses. So it purely the guard duty, like detect, expose, and mitigate the threat. Okay, that is the core pillar of the guard duty. Third one, inspector. So inspector has a job of the automator and the continuous vulnerability management at the scale. Okay, so scale, when I say scale, right, the scale is the important part here, because as we grow, we scale up our instances also. We scale up our instances size, our EBS volume size also, all this we scale up it. But we had to continuously monitoring our instances. So generally inspector are kind of, it is required for our generally EC2, ECS cluster, EKS cluster inspection, because where there is a this scaling happen generally. Okay, the like based on the auto scaling is generally happening. So it immediately discover and scan the any workload or of the software vulnerability. If suppose any of the ECS has vulnerable to particular due to workload comes throughout the particular instance, right? It immediately discover it and it try to expose with a single click. Okay. It has a highly accurate inspector risk score also. So it has some risk scores also. Based on the score, it can available. So it has a 1.923 at score, 3.1 to 4.9 score, and 5 to 7.9. That is score category which has that. So that will have a separate, I think the links is available to get that score, but they have a scoring category. Based on the scoring category, they gives, okay, your vulnerability comes on this category, and based on this category you can do your next set of actions from that particular things, and is always integrated with the security hubs only along with the guard duty. Fourth one is the AWS config. Okay, AWS config, what exactly it does is record and evaluate the configuration of the your AWS array. What exactly AWS configuration? It only helps with the threat one or something else? The AWS actually the configuration is record in the lead, or it kind of whatever the tagging mechanism are there. Okay, if you see, right, AWS resources has each resource has a different tagging mechanism like metadata. Okay, what is the name and what is the value also. So if anything the tag is missing there, okay, alert particular thing. Anyone is doing a wrong a creation of instances, alert there. So config is like a manual rule creation where you can manually rule create it and trigger a particular services like a Lambda or SNS services to notify the particular human intervention. With the config, you can review the changes in a configuration and relationship between the AWS resources. Dive into details a particular resource configuration history. So like, take an example. Now there are 5 developers working on a particular ECS cluster or maybe EC2 or Lambda one. Okay, and they are doing some automation or through the deployment job. Or you can set up some config rule where if particularly anyone has increased the instance size through the cloud formation from T1 medium to maybe the higher one, okay, T1 large or something, okay, alert the administrator. Because sometimes when we have a developer access, right, they have an option to the cloud formation, they can deploy it and they can increase the instance time. But in terms of the cost or in terms of the vulnerability, the administrator has to be approved that particular thing. So that rule you can implement in the AWS config, where we can alert if anything is changes in the configuration of the particular infrastructure. Fifth one is the AWS CloudTrail. AWS CloudTrail is like a kind of a cloud watch only, but CloudWatch gives you a application log where CloudTrail gives you the AWS API uses. When I say AWS API uses, right, whatever the AWS resources you use through the AWS console, AWS SDK or AWS CLI, all that will be tracked user, like which user has created which instance, when he modify, what he modified to particular instance, everything will be tracked under the CloudTrail. So example, if you have a ECS cluster which has an auto scaling enabled and a particularly auto scaling is happening through due to the workload, you can go to the cloud and see, okay, when the particular event got triggered, which result into the go to the upscale, when the particular event trigger, which result to the go to the downscale. All this can be tracked under the CloudTrail, where it will help us to generally, okay, whenever there's a load expecting anything is a threat detections happening or not, because sometimes company know that, okay, they don't cross particular Yeah, so I was talking about a CloudTrail. That's a CloudTrail is actually user for the API users. I think these are very real use cases. I think many of you maybe know also that we are using this heavily also AV to know that any interaction between the any instance configuration changes. Last one is the IoT device defender. I'm not having a full tell on that part, but it actually helps us to the security management across your IoT devices and the fleet. So AWS has the different services which provide IoT services. To use that particular, they have the defender tools to use that generally. It helps us to audit a particular configuration and authenticated device, IoT devices, and some if any anomalies are there, you can detect the particular thing and receive the alert based on the particular security rules are. So let me just show you the all these diagrams. So I was talking about initially the security hub, what exactly works. So you can see that by visualizing this diagram, right? Security hub is a combination of guard duty, inspector, IAM analyzer, and the Amazon Messi, Amazon Firewall Manager. So this will come under the next category one, Amazon Messi and the Firewall one. Okay, but this is the what we have now just learn about detection part. So it does the combination of this part. It conducts the automated security check, and then you have to take the actions. The use case of this generally will be the do the security posture management, initiate the orchestration automation part, save times and money by implementing the integration part. Okay, so it's about the security hub. Security Amazon guard duty is like this is the diagram one, and really where you can see the guard duty do the jobs of the particular. It goes to the S3 container workload, instant workload, account of user activity. So these are activity we keep monitoring it, and based on the monitoring analysis, they if any threat detection will be there, they will give an alert, and then you have to take action on that part. Next one is Amazon Inspector. So Amazon Inspector like a similar way only. Okay, what the guard duty work based on that, but he the so what happened here? The inspector guard duty do the detection part and give the particular analysis, right? Here also it do the analyze part, but it's the automated workload and scanning. So inspector, I was talking about inspector, right? So inspector also do the same thing. It has some a mechanism where we can go to the inspector, create some thing, and where we can select okay which particular event we have to monitor it. So it like different events are discovery as there generally. Automated workload discovery, continuous scanning, a maintain vulnerability database. So anything activity we have to track for a database also, RDS part, right? That will also track it. And also there is some changes in real time also happening through our infrastructure, right? That can also cover it. So it also gives the finding of the particular thing where you can use the finding to do a particular next action. So it uses a combination with the security hub. You can see that it uses with the security hubs only, and based on that it can take the actions. So these are also the actors actually, not the exhibitors one. Okay, so config doesn't have any kind of a diagram, but as I mentioned, right, it has a rules to define manually. Okay, which action you have to track it, like instance type change, okay, or maybe deletion activity or updation activity of any resources, right? That you can configure in a config rule. And if you found a particular activity, then you keep an alert and send an SMS email to the SNS or maybe CloudWatch alert to the particular respective administrator. That is what exactly the cloud AWS config do that. And the CloudTrail device also, right? It was analyze everything by the AWS API users. So it's like a store, monitor, and analyze the data. So which will be available easily in a CloudTrail log history. This is what IoT. I was not having full idea on that part, so not sure exactly how it will work. This very high level diagram about the IoT. Because I have not used IoT devices as a service of the AWS, so not fully aware about this service. But yes, whoever using the IoT services on the AWS, that can be used for this particular security defender. Now, next is purely network side application protection level. So mostly these are all related to the firewall, a DNS, okay, and some rules which we can based on the IPs values where we can. So earlier was the detection part. It monitor the your execution of the applications or any activities with the application. This was a purely based on the networking side. So any DNS related, IP related, okay, which we can have only, or maybe any domain related. If you want to blacklist any domain, blacklist any IP, that can be managed. So these are the tools are there. The first one is the AWS Network Firewall. Network Firewall is a firewall option which can deploy to your AWS account inside your VPC also. This is not a mandate kind of thing. You can choose your other firewall also, customized firewall, which AWS also provide option to go with the another vendors also. Okay, so depend upon the choice which we can use it. So it's similar like a product what other firewall product available in the market one. Next one is the AWS Shield side. So AWS Shield is like it's for majorly used for DDoS protection. So any of the DDoS attacks was there, right? It's managed by the AWS Shield. So it has a plenty of rules to be set based on the because DDoS is not a kind of new to the industry, right? It's happening from the long time. It's still happening. It also it never stop. Also it keep evolving. So based on the evaluations, they also keep changing their rules for a shield part in the link. So it like a it mitigate our minimize the applications downtime and latency also by using this shield. So, third one is the Amazon Route 53 Resolver DNS firewall. So actually it's a combination with the firewalls. Okay. So what it does exactly, it can filter or regulate some of the outbound DNS traffic to your virtual or inside the server. So if you see, right, when you are connecting to your VPN network, that time if you try to access one of the website, it say your site is blocked. Okay, or maybe particular domain name or maybe particular IP address, something you're trying to access it, right? It says a block. Okay, why? Because the particular rules, outbound rule, like outgoing rules, it's implemented there. Similarly, the inbound rule also can be implemented for the applications level. So it can secure your network to go for any outbound DNS traffic to your virtual private network. So now, example of that, you have a VPC network available, and somebody is accessing your internal VPC endpoint, or maybe any API endpoint, which is externally exposed. Now we wanted to give a access like whitelisting part, right? That can be done through this resolver part. Fourth one is web application firewall, what is called as a WAP1. It has the option to create a rule based on the resource type. Its available resource type is either via CloudFront or by the load balancer. So it will scan your CloudFront request and your load balancer request, and it will protect your web application from the common normal generally exploited. So here also there is an option called you can give a list of the range of the IPs or domain, and that can be protect. Generally you can attach a particular rule, and if you want to only give access to this domain to your particularly this network only, like example, our internal domain generally access only in VPN, right? It out of the VPN, we don't even access our internal domain. That rule also can be done here by using the WAP rule, because WAP are integrated with the CloudFront endpoint and the application load balancer. Last one is the AWS Firewall Manager. So AWS Firewall Manager is like a centralized system which configure and manage a firewall rules across the account. So if you have a multiple external firewall also, that can be configured in the Firewall Manager, and it gives option to manage that all firewall configuration inside the one repository level. And even if you have multiple accounts like we have, right, similarly that can be managed by the one application. No need to have a separate application at each level. Okay, so now next is data protections. Okay, now we have seen the network protection, application protection, right? Now it is like a data protection part. Okay, so it has a variety of some services like Amazon Messi, key management system, cloud assistant, certificate manager, secret manager. Okay, Amazon Messi I have not used personally, but yet it gives a generally sensitive data scale level, then yeah, kind of thing. So I cannot talk much on the Amazon Messi. I will have to learn differently about the Messi part. So I'll directly jump onto the KMS part. Key management service is like a KMS one, where you can easily create and control your key using the encryptions and diffusion algorithm, and it is digitally available. So coming back to the use case of the KMS, right? If you have a multiple account created, like one person is having one AWS account, another person having the another AWS account. Now he wanted to migrate any resources like RDS or EC2 from A account to B account. Okay, but he don't want to download particular things or something by the doing other way. He can create one key inside his account, A account, and he can share or she can share that particular key with the another account. Okay, and based on the key, the two wake up, the encryption will happen, and then the resource can be shared within that two account. And once it migrate and settle, right, the person A can delete their resources. So generally it can use for the migration purpose also, it can use for the taking backup purpose also, and the backup, whatever database backup you have taken, that can be also encrypted through the KMS value. That is one of the use case for the KMS side. And each key is expensive one. Generally each key they charge like AWS charge on that part, because they have a encryption and decryption mechanism also there. Third one is the cloud HSM. So cloud HSM is like a hardware security models on AWS cloud. It's purely for the hardware part. So if you are attaching any hardware to our AWS cloud, which is physical hardware, right? And that will be managed by the cloud HSM part generally. So any hardware security scanning we have to do it, that can be also do by the cloud HSM part. So example, if you have any on-premises volumes or maybe hard drive which is attached to our AWS cloud, okay, take example of BIST directory. BIST directory is on-premises volume which is attached to AWS cloud. So that can be secured by using the cloud SSL. Fourth one is the AWS certificate manager. So AWS certificate manager is like all whatever the HTTPS certificate which we see in our browser domain, right? That purely managed by the certificate manager. Okay, so any domain if you require a HTTPS certificate, that can be generated through the AWS security certificate manager. So there you can have option to have a www.abc.com certificate. If you want to go for star.abc.com, so you can go ahead with that. Certificate manager is a free of cost also. They don't charge for certificate manager until unless we are using certificate inside the AWS account. If you go for the other vendor, go for the HTTP certificate, they will charge you the certificate each cost for yearly basis. Last one is the AWS Secret Manager. I think many of you know about Secret Managers because we use heavily Secret Manager part. Secret Manager nothing but like you can store our all the key informations like API key, secret key, client key, or token. All this can be stored there, and it can easily rotate and manage the retrieval database. Now, next is incident response management. Now we have seen that, okay, what are the things we can do for a precautionary detection part. So here the response, how do we do the response and incident management? So there are two tools available. One is the Amazon Detective and another is the Elastic Disaster Recovery part. So Detective generally what exactly do is analyze and visualize the security data, which is rapidly to get to the root cause of the potential security breaches. So it exactly gives the what is exactly root cause of particular threat, and it gives some of the recommendations of what you can do to prevent a particular threat. And this service generally helpful to alerting you when something is wrong or pointing out where to go to fix. So it helps us to debugging part also because it gives a root cause of the particular thing. Second one is the elastic disaster recovery. It's majorly used for the our scaling mechanism where our EC2, ECS cluster, or maybe any server-based service are coming in. Right? There you give the disaster recovery mechanism. So what exactly is help generally? It saves the cost by removing the idle recovery site resources, pay for your full disaster recovery. Also help to recover your application within a minute with the up-to-date state, keeping the state, whatever running state or maybe the date state, based on that, it can manage it. Also, it gives the flexibility using your elastic recovery site, like ability to add or remove any replication server as needed. So when you are going to any disaster, right, that time also it automatically gives you. So I'll give one of the downtime of the AWS USH2 version. That time AWS has supported one thing, like if you are running any instance, right, if you don't want to be have a downtime, they have recommended to do ask us to delete the instance and then create a new immediately, because it was not having any issue with the new instances. It was only having with the old instances. That is the level of the disaster recovery they have. So they are not even like having a problem. They can give it within a minute all the recovery part. So that is why the incident response managed by the this tool. Last part is purely on the compliance side. So these are the two tools which available. Like one is the AWS Artifact, and the second one is AWS Audit Manager. Artifact is like a self-service portal for the on-demand access to the AWS compliance reported. So whatever the AWS access, AWS security analysis report you generate to other tools, right? That will be stored under the Artifact, and you can ask for the on-demand basis that report, and it's a no cost of one. Okay, where the audit manager actually the continuously audit. So Artifact is like the managed by other tools, but the audit manager is like a continuously auditing your all the AWS uses and simplify your risk and the compliances part generally. So it is like it's easy to access if you have your policy or any procedure or activity, also known as a control, right, which are operating effectively. So you can see if you're implementing any policy, you want to know, okay, whether this policy are effectively working or not. That can also, you can by taken a report from this audit manager and see, okay, and if you want to change anything, that can be also do the assessment on the particular thing. And whenever there is a time for an audit, like many of the companies go for an audit phase, right? That time also it can be help us to give all the reviews of the particular report to your stakeholder, because this will be continuously audit and you can have a real-time audit reports also. So these are the all security services, AWS services. I know it was very full informative session, no demo was there, but that is what the information which I have to share. There is a white paper is available with the AWS security. I'll share this PPT to you guys. You can go through it. Details are given based on the whatever the slide and information I share. More than that, details is available in this PDF file. Thank you for watching session. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to channel.